Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salaila Makudir. The time is 8 minutes past 9, and we're going to switch gears now and focus more inwardly. We'll be looking at Johannesburg, a city of vibrance and decay, ambition and abandonment. From WhatsApp governed water campaigns to the closure of cultural icons like the Marabi Club, it's clear that Josie's soul is still alive. But concerning its infrastructure and governance, I think we can all agree at this point that it's crumbling. Yesterday, Mayor Dada Morero delivered his State of the City address, painting a hopeful picture, but is it grounded in reality, and is hope enough? Joining us now on News and Views is renowned journalist and associate editor at Daily Maverick, Ferial Haffajee. She's penned a powerful piece titled Wanted, a New Government for Johannesburg's Great People, in which she pulls back the curtain on the city's political dysfunction, the resilience of its people, and the urgent need for a new model of governance. And she's joining us telephonically. Ferial, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much, Salam. Lovely to be with you.
The pleasure's all ours. Ferial, yesterday we witnessed Mayor Morero's State of the City address. What did you make of it? What do you think of his vision? Does it align at all with what the residents are actually living through? Did it tick the right boxes? Just generally your reaction and what you made of it.
You know, I'm an inherently optimistic person, and I believe in the goodwill of human beings. So I listened to it with interest, and it felt like a heartfelt attempt by the mayor to do right by the city. What I enjoyed about it is that he acknowledged the crisis. So in previous State of the City reports, I've been pretty incredulous because you hear a mayor talking about this world-class African city, and in fact, your lived experience of it is very, very different. So I heard the mayor speaking about our infrastructural challenges, the fact that people and businesses are really battling with water, electricity, and the state of our roads. And that's the spinal column of a working city. Those systems have to work. So I heard the mayor acknowledging that and then put some pretty big plans on the table. Some are system changes, which are really important, and others are a little populist, like a bomb squad and calling on taxis to deal with street traders. So a lot that was impressive. A lot, I think, is the proof being in the pudding. The proof of the pudding being in the eating.
No, definitely. You mentioned something quite important. On your article. On the political instability in Johannesburg, you highlighted how the city has had different mayor. He has had a different mayor almost every year since 2021. And before Dada Morara could take a seat after a State of the City address, there was a motion of no confidence tabled against him by the DA. What has this revolving door of leadership done to service delivery and just general policy consistency in the city?
No, it's just, honestly, it's just terrible. I came to Salam Media when the former mayor, Kabelo Gwamanda, sat there and made big promises about doing a water turnaround strategy. He made really big promises on that day. Before you knew it, he was out of the door. And that's how it's been since 2021. We've had 6 mayors in 5 years, and the destabilizing impacts on the city are truly enormous because each mayor comes with a whole new plan, a whole new team. They change the MMCs, and then we suffer for that. So I do think that I hope there's going to be stability in the city. There's about a year and a half left before the next local government election. If things continue like this, you can almost certainly see that people are so tired there'll be a change of government. At least now what you have is a national presidential team working in the city, and I have to say working day and night in the city to deal with these things. I don't think the future of Johannesburg is up to whoever's in the mayor's seat. It is up to its amazing people. And that piece I wrote was really a praise song to show how active citizenship is behind some of the changes that we begin to see. And what we need is a measure of co-governance with its people rather than every time looking at who's the coalition government, who's the mayor, because that doesn't really, in my opinion, bring the changes we need.
I want to touch on that. I want to touch on your last point on civil society's role.
Hmm.
You write that real progress in the city is essentially driven by civil society. Organizations like WaterCan, organizations like Josie My Josie. My question is, how sustainable is this? Are we not simply shifting governance to responsibility to being a responsibility of quite literally exhausted citizens?
Absolutely. And also, I would add in the Salam media, the media in general, your humanitarian stance, your constant focused eye, and also your constructive eye on what happens in the city. So very important to giving ordinary people voice. So it's an 83 billion rand city. Obviously, we need to expect more of the people we elect. And I think we have to constantly hold their feet to the fire. We have to end the corruption that is behind many of the much of the dysfunction in the city. But I do think that it's going to require more active citizenship of us, not less in the coming years, because we've seen the benefits. Dr. Ferial Adam, who I think is a regular guest also on the show, she told me that the water crisis is not solved by any means, but it's not as bad as it was on that day when we gathered at Salam Media, because people have insisted that reservoirs get fixed, that new piping is put in, that the kind of water tanker mafias, which we saw becoming quite clear at the height of the water crisis, we've at least begun to claw back that. And for me, the lesson is freedom is the cost of freedom is eternal vigilance, and that's the story of Johannesburg.
Mm, mm, mm. There's a phrase while I was reading on your article that really stood out for me. The phrase herbicide.
Yeah, it's a big word.
You
I see the mayor
yeah.
used it as well.
He used it as well, and you correlated it with in the article with the image of an abandoned metro center, which was quite haunting, and you used that term herbicide, the killing of a city. Can you maybe
Hmm.
just unpack a bit on it and what that means in Johannesburg's context?
Sure. So it's a big word, and I learned it from a Somalian writer who penned a beautiful essay looking at American at how American interventions in great Middle Eastern cities had resulted in the herbicide of many cities in the Middle East. Then he applied it to his home of Somalia, and he looked at how what he had witnessed was the destruction and killing of cities, and he introduced me to this word herbicide. So it's usually used in the context of war. But as I've studied Johannesburg, I have felt that what you've seen is through dysfunction and dereliction of duty, the actual killing of the city. And what we need to ensure is that the city doesn't die. And so when I went to the Metro Center, which is this it's like it was built under apartheid, so its architecture is quite brutalist, but it's the symbol of the city, it's metropolitan center. And would you believe that it's been entirely abandoned? There's no people working in there. It was closed one day in spurious causes. And when I went there, there were people coming there with their water meters, with their accounts, and they had absolutely no idea where to go to. So nobody has told us, if you want to interact with your city, this is where you come to, or this is how you do it. And for me, it felt like the closure of the Metro Center in conditions that haven't really been explained to us was a form of herbicide, and it's why I think we need to insist on knowing what's happened to that Metro Center. If you go there, it's the most beautiful furniture and libraries, and it's meant to be a place that belongs to us, and it's
Mm,
simply been abandoned.
mm, mm. Why do you think there hasn't been more outrage about this, decanting of governance infrastructure, especially when it directly affects how citizens interact with the city. I think you made a perfect example of what the metro center is supposed to be and the purpose that it's supposed to serve. But it's derelict and it's not serving that purpose.
Yeah, and then I suppose modern methods of being in your city, of interacting with it, is digitally. So you're supposed to be able to, on an app, get hold of your councillor. You're supposed to be able to report that which doesn't work. But of course, if you've tried to phone any of the toll-free lines or get in touch with Joburg Water or the city to sort out an account, you will hang on for hours.
Mm,
um, those methods also don't work. So I think we're so busy that just dealing with water and electricity and potholes that we haven't looked up to see what's happened to our actual metro center. It's just the urgency of now, and it's something I've been watching and following quite closely, which is why I finally wrote about it. Where we do see people most active is that increasingly our city is governed by these fabulous WhatsApp groups where we
yeah.
demand accountability, organize ourselves, and make things work by WhatsApp group. It's the most amazing thing to watch.
No, definitely. And you mentioned also, just the closure or the decline of cultural life in the city of Johannesburg and the impact that has had. You mentioned the closure of the Marabi Club and 40 and other cultural venues, and
Hmm.
how devastating that was. How does the collapse of the night economy reflect the broader decay in the city? What story does that tell?
So, the night economy of Joburg has always been very key to the city. So, if you go to Fordsburg at night, if you go to Soweto at night, that's where a lot of this like massive economy we have is being generated. But when I asked a question on X, especially because Joburg is a city of single women headed households. We know it just from our own experiences. Many women said to me, because we don't have street lights anymore and because the city is pretty dangerous, they simply don't go out. And then when I looked at it and read the post by Loris Buntman, who runs that fabulous app called Joburg in Your Pocket, 40 different places have closed down quite recently because people are simply not comfortable. They don't feel safe going out at night any longer. I had made a post about how lovely Fordsburg Square is, and people said to me, "When's the best time to go?" And I was hesitant to tell them to go on a Saturday night because I'm not sure how safe it is there in the evenings any longer. And that's because of street lights, because of issues of urban safety. And surely it must be one of those things we do begin to fix. First of all, the mayor did speak about street lights and about safety. He's become a proponent of this idea of the broken windows theory of urban governance. And that is that if you fix the small things, you see multiplier effects on urban safety. So street lights, working traffic lights, visible policing, those are
Mhm.
three key things in a way that you make the city safe at night.
No, definitely. Ferial, you mentioned President Ramaphosa's Operation Vulindlela intervention in your
Yes.
article. 2 months in, are there signs that it's more than just a public relations exercise or just a talk shop ahead of the G20? Are there signs that there's an intention to try and fix the city's infrastructure and to be what we all want it to be?
I think the good intention is there, and people are working extremely hard. They've divided themselves into 8 work streams, 4 different clusters of work. From people I know who tell me they're working day and night to get the plan right, to identify what are the top 5 priorities for this presidential working group. I asked a very good buddy of mine, like, so I said, I'm not really seeing this thing yet or feeling it. And he said, give us a month. You should be able to see visible changes by then. So this weekend is the first report back by the Joburg Crisis Alliance, and the presidency people will speak there. I'm looking very forward to seeing what they're going to tell us. But again, I think it's important for those of us in the media, Salam Media, the work other Joburg reporters like myself do, is we have to keep those lines open and insist that it doesn't just become a talk shop, like you say, or a bureaucratic process. We have to see almost immediate changes in how we live and how we experience our city.
And finally, before I let you go, Ferial,
Yes.
despite all of this, despite what us the citizens of Johannesburg are
Mm.
witnessing on a day-to-day basis, the decay, the dysfunction, the crime, one thing that was interesting for me is how you still write with a sense of so much hope when it comes to the city. What is it about Joburg that gives you that hope? Well, that eternal hope. It looks.
Salam Media, you write with a passion of us living here. This is our home. We in my case, I don't know about you. I was born here. My entire family's here. And then I guess the important thing is, those people who write Joburg off, they often don't live here anymore. And I
True.
don't know about you, but we're not like rich people who can just go off to live in the Western Cape or wherever.
Mm.
And neither do I want to. It's where our story's written. It's an old city. It's a great city. And I think we have to insist that it's also a wealthy city. Not many cities in the world have an 87 billion rand a year budget, and we have to ensure that it's well
Good
spent
point.
well
Good
for
point.
the people of the city. Huh?
No, definitely. Farrell, thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank
Always a
you so
pleasure.
much, Lala.
And
I love chatting to you.
looking forward to chatting to you again.
Bye bye.
There you go. That is Ferial Haffajee. And yeah, I think she paints a beautiful picture of Johannesburg. Despite everything that's going on, you could tell that there's a sense of hope, and I think this is the attitude that all of us, that live, stay, play, work, and learn in the city. That's the kind of attitude we need to adopt. This is our city. We should not let it die. We should not let it become a wasteland because there's so much memory. There's so much fabric of what South Africa is that is intertwined within the city of Johannesburg. It represents a microcosmic of essentially what South Africa is. And if you let it die, what else do we have? What other city can we look at and draw similar parallels to Johannesburg with anywhere in the world? I don't think there is. So yeah, really, really interesting. You can engage with us. What do you think? What are your thoughts on the city of Johannesburg? Do you feel there's hope? What more do you think needs to be done to make sure that there's meaningful, tangible change for the residents of Johannesburg? And most important, do you think residents of the city of Johannesburg are angry enough? Do you think we are angry at seeing the state of our city, and we want to hold those in power accountable? Are we demonstrating enough? Are we having initiatives and campaigns to clean up our city, to rid it of crime and the derelict nature that it has become in the last few years? Or we just lock ourselves in our high walls, in our electric fences, and say, well, let me lock myself in this cage. The city's dead and there's nothing to explore anymore. And well, that's the nature of it, and there's nothing I can do about it. Do you think the attitude of the residents of the city needs to change just a bit? You can engage with us on our various social media platforms. Search at Salam Media. This is on YouTube. This is Facebook. This is also on X. And you can also engage with us on our WhatsApp line number is 0116800355. And you can send a voice note also on 0617660355. And to everyone that's interacting with us on YouTube and on Facebook, we see you. Abdullah Shabalala, we see your comments. Abdul Razak Ishmailov, we see your comments and you guys' interactions. Keep them coming, keep the message coming. We'll show them on the screen. And yeah, I think anyone and everyone that wants to interact and keep the conversation going can do so. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back from Joburg City, we'll now be heading over to Gaza City, and we'll be speaking to, I think, an incredible young lady. She's a Palestinian living in Gaza City, Sarah Awad, and she's going to be giving us the lived realities of the people of Gaza, and how they are surviving and trying to, I don't know, exist in a place that seeks to destroy them from the face of the earth. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. You want to stick around for this one, and we'll be having it after the short break.